Good evening and welcome to Classifieds. We're going to look at all the latest football, hockey and rugby that has gone on the Isle of Man this afternoon. If you've got scores, 166 177, studio@maxradio.com, or the same number on WhatsApp. But first, your classified results this evening. And we start in the Canada Life Premier League. Russian 3, Union Mills 2, St Mary's 2, Corinthians 2, Moran 0, Peel 5, St John's United 3, St George's 1, Ramsey 3, Ayr 3, Laxey 3, Onken 2. In Arden Drugan Division 2, Colby 4, Braddon 7, Douglas and District 1, Maloo 4, Pulrose 0, Douglas High School Old Boys 3, Douglas Royal 5, Governors Athletic 3. In Canada Life Combi 1, Union Mills against Russian United, awaiting result. Corinthians 7, St Mary's 9. Peel against Moran, awaiting result. St George's against St John's United, away walkover. St George's have withdrawn from the league. Ayr United against Ramsey, awaiting result. Onken against Laxey, awaiting result. Arden Drugan Division Combi 2, Michael United 3, Douglas Athletic 4, Braddon 2, Colby 9. Jims against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, awaiting result. Douglas High School and Old Boys 4, Pulrose United 3. And Governors Athletic against Douglas and District, awaiting result. In rugby, in Regional 2 Northwest, Bowden 67, Douglas 15. In Counties 3, ADM, Lancs and Cheshire, Vagabonds 10, Burnley 54. In Manx Hockey, in the Mixed Premier League, Backers B1, Vikings B4, Valkyries B1, Harlequins A4, Castletown Celts 0, Vikings A3, Valkyries A0, Backers A5. In Mixed Division 1, Vikings C5, Backers C3, Valkyries C2, Ramsey A1. Castletown Southerners 9, Vikings D1, and we are looking for the Castletown Southerners scorers. In Mixed Division 2, Backers Colts 3, Castletown Camags 5, Valkyries D2, Ramsey Ravens 3, Castletown Cushags against Harlequins B, a late result. In Mixed Division 3, Backers D4, Vikings E3, Harlequins C3, Castletown Cosney 2, Backers Mixed Bucks 1, Castletown Carrick 3. And then in the Mixed Under-15s League, which are all late results, we are looking for Castletown Sharks against Valkyries, Ramsey against Harlequins, and Castletown Savers against Backers. And we have just had a score just come in, and that is in the Mixed Division 2, and that is Harlequins B 8, Castletown Cushags 1. Those are your classified results. So let me get my football sheet, and we will say a very good evening to a man who's been very, very rigorously putting pen to paper, Tony Mepham. Good evening.
Good evening, Ben. And yeah, it's been a bit rushed tonight because we've got obviously an FC Isle of Man game, and we've been down at the Bowl covering the game between St Mary's and Corinthians this afternoon. It was a little bit full on, and then one or two things just to sort out with the headquarters for FC Isle of Man. So I think we're all there now. We've got a couple of scores missing and scorers, but most of them are in. So when we come to them, we'll ask for a text message, and if they can put them through, it'll complete the team sheets and score sheets for today.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you something, this does feel weird, doesn't it? Me on this side of the desk, not on that side with you.
Well, exactly. You're normally alongside me, and now you're the boss. So hopefully I don't get any cleaning duties when I leave the premises. But No, you're far kinder to the eye than Rob is, so I'd rather stick with you, Ben.
Rob, you didn't hear that. Let's go through the results then, shall we? Let's start in the Premier League. Rushden United against Union Mills. That was a 3-2 win for Rushden United.
Yeah, it's a good result, and thanks to everyone who put the scores in and all the details as well. It's been a good game by the look of it, and I think it was Union Mills who went 1-0 up after 26 minutes. We'll try and get the Union Mills scorers, but then it was Ryan Crawley, I think, who equalised to make it 1-1. But it was Fingal Watterson who sort of gave the lead, I think, to Rushden 2-1, and then it was 2-2, so nice and tight. But then it was Jordan Watterson with near enough the last kick of the game that sealed the points for Rushden. So that's a big 3 points for Rushden because, looking at the league tables at lunchtime, 8 points, now they're on 11. It just makes them a little bit more comfortable with the two teams below them not gaining any points today. But man of the match, and I can understand why as well, because he's been in great form, as Mason Prince, the Union Mills goalkeeper. He missed a few games through a suspension, but he's come back in, and I watched him last week. He's terrific. And unfortunately, even though he sort of kept the scoring down, if you like, because of his man of match performances, it was Rushden who took the 3 points.
Brilliant there. Cheers, Tony. And we're going to go to St Mary's against Corinthians, a 2-2 draw. And we are going to start this with a message that has come in. And I'm honoured to read this, Tony, because it's a big shout out to you and everyone that does work behind the scenes. Hi. Please could you give a big thank you to Tony Mepham and everyone involved at Corinthians, and a thank you to Gerard Dooley and Alex Harrison and everybody from St Mary's for the amazing flowers, cards at both games today after the sad passing of my father, Derek Craig, earlier this week. It's helped massively. Paul, his son, and all the family.
Well, that's really nice, and it's hit a nerve, to be honest with you, Ben, because Derek is a true gentleman. I've seen the comments. I don't really comment on Facebook. I have a little look, but it doesn't really interest me, to be fair. But when I heard that Derek had passed away this week, it's hit a lot of people hard, because you're involved in sport, Ben, and just now and then you come across someone who follows a club for no reason, really. His son Paul did have a couple of games with us, but he just followed us every single week for years and years and years. Sponsored us when he retired, which everybody sort of closes the wallet up a little bit, don't they? But he was there to sponsor, and I had many phone calls from him about what was happening in Max Football, what was happening with the club when we were up and down and stuff like that. And he's a big loss. We haven't seen him for quite a while because he's been seriously ill for a long time. But I've got to say a big well done to Numa, his wife, because she's looked after him. He's been basically bedridden for quite a while, and it's been tough for her as well, and for Sue, the daughter, and also to Paul as well, who I've known for a long time. I know the pain that they've been through. It's not been nice, but hopefully the love that has been shown today, and absolute credit to St Mary's Football Club, where they also presented a bouquet of flowers to Norman and also Sue and Paul, and it does mean a lot to them. There's tough times ahead when the funeral happens, but hopefully the sort of togetherness that she's seen from Corinthians Football Club, and also the companionship shown by St Mary's, goes a long way. And this is why I'm in sport, Ben. When things like this happen, it's so important. But let's go to the football score, and what a game this one was, because I think you're up to speed with it all. It was a game that really St Mary's had to win. It was a game that Corinthians a point would do, and they've certainly done it today. But it's been a tough all afternoon for them, because Corinthians took the lead after some real good pressure from St Mary's. They had a lot of chances. Harley Jackson, I think it was, who broke the bar in half with his left foot shot, and just it seemed to be effort after effort. But then Corinthians balanced it, started to attack, and then that movement down the right hand side was superb. It was I thought Chester Bell was superb throughout the afternoon, and then when Noah Vowles got some space on that right hand side and the ball crossed over, and I think it was lucky for Joe we didn't connect, because I think the goalkeeper, who was excellent for St Mary's today, Callum, was just caught out by killing the ball a little bit, and into the goal it went. But then the equaliser was brilliant as well. Superb header by Carl Clark just before half time, and 1-1. Nicely poised. But the start of the second half, There was a lot of pressure by St Mary's on Corinthians, but they dealt with it well. But a little bit of luck as well for them. 2 or 3 wonderful saves by, the goalkeeper, and it was so good to look at. But then they got their second goal, Sam Gellan it was, to make it 2-1, and then a penalty was awarded to St Mary's. And at 3-1, you're going to say to yourself, that's it, all over. But the goalkeeper saved it. He pushed it on, it looked like it to me. And it was then awarded to a corner. So it was 2-1 still. But then Joe Middleton got the equaliser to make it 2-2. Corinthians had to hang on, and they did it in the end. They've got the point. Well done to them. And I'll keep my promise. Because my promise to the club was, if you get to the Railway Cup semi-finals, I'll refurbish the changing rooms for you for Christmas, and I'll keep that promise.
There you go. You've heard it on air here on Manx Radio AM. Tony is going to refurb the toilets. Let's look at Moran against Peel. 5-0 to Peel. Yeah,
it was great result, and well done. Welcome back to Thomas Brown, because he missed last week, but back with a vengeance today, and he got 4 of the goals for Peel. Well done, Tom. Taylor Andrews got the other one, and unfortunately, Moran with that good performance last week couldn't find it again today. No points for them, but Peel keep a challenge up at the top of the table.
St John's 3, St George's 1.
Yeah, and it was sort of a game that you would have expected St John's to win it, and probably a bit of a sour note on it was 2 red cards, one for St George's, Carl Henson got sent off, and the other one for Sam Ingham. So that's a loss. 2 good players going to be missing for future games. But Callum Taggart on the score sheet again for St John's. Well done, Callum. Andrew Chadwick with 1, and Luke Murray on the score sheet as well. I haven't got St George's goal scorer.
And we go to Ramsey 3, Ayr 3.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the league table there. Ayr United on 30 points now, and Peel with that 3 points. They're on 28. Same games played, 12, so it's closed up. But Dylan Pickles, I've said it quite a few times now that they've been missing him big time. Came in for half a game, I think, last week, but today got 1. James Rice saved a penalty as well. Well done, Ricer. Jamie Agnew got 1 as well, and Nathan Crane got the other. But, Ramsey led, I think it was 2-3-0, I think it was. But there was only 15 minutes left on the game. And how late do United leave it? They did it last week. They've done it again today. 2 quick goals, and then they got the third one as well. Haven't got their goal scorers. But the important thing for Ramsey is they're on a bit of a run now. They're going well. Shared it with Ayr United. So Ramsey Town will be busy, and it'll be nice and friendly because the points were shared. But Ayr United will look at it and say, is this going to come back and haunt us later on in the season with those 2 points dropped?
Does that keep Ayr still unbeaten this season?
It keeps Ayr United still unbeaten. They've had a couple of close ones the last couple of games, because last week, if I remember rightly, they were 3-0 down, or was it the week before? And they came back 4-4. And this one here, or they might have won 4-3. And this one here has been awful tight as well. 3-0 possibly down, and coming back 3-3.
Yeah, big result there for Ayr, keeping their unbeaten run up. Let's go to Laxey against Onken, 3-2. And I believe Rob was at this game?
Rob was at it, and I might have a match report from Rob in here somewhere along the line. I had a look before. He might have been busy typing. Let's have a little quick look here, because he does give a good report, and he's not let us down, has he? Onken 3. Laxey 2, Onken 3. 1-0 to Onken at half-time. Laxey scorers Cameron Avery, Ben Wazza and Adam Meelan. Onken's goal scorers were Andy Asbridge and Max Shirley. Max Shirley used to play for Laxey. High-tempo game saw Onken take the lead after 5 minutes, with Andy Asbridge heading home a Jackson Gatt cross. For much of the remainder of the game, it was Laxey dominating possession, but struggling to break down a resilient Onken defence. That changed in the 78th minute with the first of 4 goals in 10 minutes. Laxey levelled as Cameron, headed home a corner before another Laxey corner 2 minutes later was scrambled home by Ben Wazza to put the home side ahead for the first time. Onken then stunned everyone against the run of play. With 5 minutes left, a 40-yarder from Max Shirley free kick evaded everyone, including the Laxey goalkeeper Harvey Turner, to curl into the bottom corner, sparking wild celebrations in the Onken camp. And obviously, with this having bearing on the Railway Cup as well, it was all to play for. However, the final bit of drama came in the 90th minute as Laxey got a winner from another corner, with Adam Meelan heading in off the crossbar from 6 yards. Onken finished the game with 10 men as Tom Creer saw red very late on for a second bookable offence. A cracking game between two sides who played with great intensity throughout. And thank you, Rob, for that complete report. Absolutely brilliant.
He must have had his tape measure out if he's measured it.
I think so.
40-yarder.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. So that's the Premier League. Let's look to Odd and Drugan Division 2. And we'll start by looking at Colby against Braddon. Colby 4, Braddon 7.
Big result that, I think, for Braddon. Big statement for Braddon, and I think we've learnt a little bit from them as well, because Braddon have made a couple of signings lately, and they're slotting in very nicely indeed. When you look at the league table, Braddon second, played 9 for 22, that was at lunchtime, and Colby played 8 for 18. It was going to be a heck of a game, and it turned out that way. Carl Hecky with 2 of the goals, Paul Whitley and Nick Clegg for Colby. For Braddon, Paul Healy with 1, Liam Kane, who's just signed from them from Michael, got 4, Nick Harvey on a score sheet as well, and Dylan Barton. Superb performance by Braddon, and they come out 7-4 winners.
Let's go to Douglas and District against Marlou. It was Douglas and District 1, Marlou 4.
Dan Robson got the goal for D&D, and for Malou, Kieran Krippner, I must tally up how many goals he scored, Ben, because he's scoring an awful lot and must be very close to leading that silver boot. Paddy Cooper it was who scored last week. He scored again today. Great result that for Malou 4-1.
Okay, Paul Rosenale, Douglas High School Old Boys 3.
Keeps Old Boys on the top, played 10 for 28 points, and Jacob Stone with a goal, Robbie Ward on the score sheet as well, and one of the rising stars in the youth ranks for Old Boys, and did well today. George Kearns got the other.
Douglas Royal 5, Governors Athletic 3.
Yeah, good result, and a big thanks to Douglas Royal's goal scorer Simon Dooley, I think. He got a hat-trick. Jordan Cowan got one as well after his transfer to Douglas Royal. Kieran Lane got the other one. And for Governors Athletic, it was Taloni Akinola, I think it is, with 2 goals, and Josh Dunn got the other one.
In Canada Live Combi 1, Union Mills against Russian.
Yeah, we've got that in, thank you. It was Union Mills 1, Russian 6. I think the goal scorers may have come in, but we'll look at that later on. 6-1 it was to Russian.
And how about this for a result? Corinthians 7, St Mary's 9. Yeah. What's been going on up at Corinthians?
Well, I think Corinthians and St Mary's need to find a defensive coach, that's for sure. And maybe an attacking coach is not required, because he's done the goods today. I don't know. I heard half-time score. I'll have a look at WhatsApp after to just see who scored. But Corinthians today, they were leading, I think, comfortably. But they conceded at the end, and what a belting game that finished up 7-9. That's correct. That is some score.
I did have to look and refresh the page when it come through. I thought, no, someone's having me on here. Peel against Moran, have we got anything for that one?
Yeah, that one's come in. It's Peel 0, Moran 2. And it was Lewis Brew who scored from the penalty spot. And it was Reese Westwell who got the other one. So good result that from Moran's combination.
Of course, St George's against St John's was awarded to St John's. Of course, the news came out this week that St George's have withdrawn. Are we allowed to speak any more about that?
Yeah, you were welcome to it. As you know, St George's didn't have a team last year, and this year it looked good. They had the numbers, but then 1 or 2 injuries, 1 or 2 work commitments stopped them from sort of having good numbers. And they've tried now for, I think it was 8 weeks, and it just came to a head really for them that they were really struggling. They had 4 or 5 players that had said they were going to sign, and it didn't happen. So it's right what they're saying. Withdraw, regroup again next year. It can happen. It happens in your sport. I'm sure it does. And it's the best way to do it. The clubs know what's happening then. But St George's will be back next year.
Absolutely. Ayr United against Ramsey. Have we got any scores?
Yep. Ayr United 2, Ramsey 7. So 5. Sorry. So it's a big bragging rights for them there. I haven't got any goal scorers. I know Farrah Ergun got a couple of goals, I think, but I haven't got any other scorers. So if you could, please.
So 166 177 if you have got any scorers for us. And then in the last game in this division, Onken against Laxey. Yep,
Onken 5, Laxey 2. Again, Onken top of the table, played 12 now for 33. But breathing down the neck is Russian, who've played 12 for 30. And Ramsey with that big win that they've just had 5-2 against Ayr United. They've played 12 for 28. So there's a cracking competition going on in that. Don't forget Ayr as well. I know they dropped points today. But Laxey not necessarily struggling a lot, but just a little bit down the table in 10th. It was always going to be a tough day against the league leaders. And it's amazing how Onken are doing, because nobody saw that one coming. But at the moment, the top of the table, and only just lost that one game.
Underdogs.
Exactly.
Underdogs. Arden and Druggan, Combi 2. Let's start at Michael United against Douglas Athletic. Michael 3, Douglas Athletic 4.
Yeah, good battle. Lots of goals today, Ben, isn't there? It's been amazing. Nathan Farragher with a couple of goals for Michael. Tom McDale got one as well. For Douglas Athletic, it was... we haven't got the goal scorers in yet, but I have got a note on this one, which is really nice, is Jonathan Williams, referee. It's his first senior game, and evidently he was excellent at that. So that's really good to hear. And reported as well, Stewie Morris, whatever game Stewie refereed, excellent performance in that one as well. So it's always nice when clubs come in and give their appreciation to the referees who've done their game.
Yeah, it's always good to see the officials getting some recognition for their effort as well, because without them, the game can't happen.
Well, it's like anything. You're a referee in hockey, and you've got to be thick-skinned if you're going to be a referee in anything. But sometimes just the sort of messages that are put back to you aren't really nice, and I know it does affect one or two, but there's some really good referees out there, and there's some new referees, and it's great to hear about Jonathan Williams there, whose first game, and he's held his own and looked really comfortable. So take that on board, Jonathan, and anyone else who fancies maybe refereeing, because you can earn a few bob now doing that. Is the opportunity's there, just ring the FA.
Absolutely. Let's go to Braddon against Colby, another big score line here. Braddon 2, Colby 9. Yeah,
it was, and Colby got it right in this one. Okay, they lost the first team game, but Colby are top of the table, and that puts them now, played 11, 28 points, and Jack Fordham got 3 of the goals. Jack Skilcorn, I think he got 3 last week, 2 this week. James Galloway got 2. Seb Spears and Sam Wooland was the other goal scorer. For Braddon haven't got theirs, but Braddon third in the league, so this was expected to be really close with only 3 points difference between the two teams. 7 goals difference, just shows you how good Colby are.
Yeah, Jim's against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys.
Still waiting for that one. If someone could text us through to Ben, please, 166 177.
I have had a score through. I don't know whether it might be that one, and they've just put the wrong score through. I'll see if I can find it. Let's see, where are we?
I think it will be a Ramsey Youth Centre win.
I've got a score here which said Ramsey Combi 2, 5, and they put Ayr United 2, but then there's no Ayr United playing Ramsey Combi today, so I don't know whether it means...
No, Ayr United Combi played Ramsey, so Ayr 2, Ramsey 5 would sound right.
Okay, well, we'll get clarity on it. Yeah, we'll get clarity on it.
In fact, if you... I've 2 seconds, I think I've got a message through on that one, because I just picked it up as it was finishing off, and it was... it was Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm. And all it says, Combi result, Ayr 2, Ramsey 5. Only 4 and 5 for Ramsey goal scorers, and that's for Egon, or Oz as they call him, near the end. So he got 2 of them anyway, and just to confirm that result, it was Ayr 2, Ramsey 5. So thank you.
So Jim's against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. We are looking for that result.
Yes, please.
So 166 177. Douglas High School and Old Boys against Paul Rose. 4-3 to Douglas High School and Old Boys.
Yeah, and Old Boys are second in the league, and they're on the same points as Colby, and remain on the same points as Colby. But my word, this was a little bit closer than they expected, because Paul Rose are down in 8th place in the league, and it was Caleb Anderson with 1, Steve McDonald, Corey Langdon, I think it was, who got the other one, and James Buckeras with the other. I haven't got Paul Rose goal scorers, but another solid performance by Old Boys.
And our final fixture, Governors Athletic against Douglas and District. Do we have any score?
We do. Governors Athletic 2, Douglas and District 4. Haven't got Douglas and District's goal scorers, but for Governors Athletic, it was Kevin Farragher and Thomas Lindsay with the second goal.
Happy days. So that's the conclusion of all the league fixtures today. Now we look to the big game happening down at the Bowl in just over half an hour now. FC Isle of Man against Burscough. How do you see that one going?
Tough one, because I was talking with Rob last night, and there's been a lot of goals scored between these two teams. I think it's 27 in like 3 odd years. So it just shows you that both of them like to attack. Maybe both of them a little bit open defensively. But I think the run that FC Isle of Man are on at the moment is incredible. They've showed some great form. Not only as a team, but also individually. And I think that's helping. Dean Pennington has certainly come in, scoring goals. And I think he causes all sorts of problems in that centre midfield. I like him. It's one of those sort of sports players where he has the ball, takes the ball on, takes it to the player, and the only way you can stop him really is drag him down. And then you get free kicks, and then there's that much talent. Jack McVeigh himself, Charlie Higgins, who can take free kicks from distance and really put them accurately in there. So defensively, they've looked really good. Alex Maitland leads by example at the back. We've got outfield players on the right and the left who can take the ball. So I'm going to go for FC Isle of Man to win it. And when you look at it, we're just at the halfway stage of the season now, Ben. Christmas is coming up, so there's always a little bit of a run of fixtures on that. They're in a good place, and let's just hope it continues. And let's just hope that's a good crowd down there, because the support does help them, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you for a score prediction and who you thought was going to win, but you beat me to it. So
sorry.
But looking at FC Isle of Man's form going at the minute, I think if I'm right, if they win tonight, it's their 6th straight win.
It is their 6th straight win, and if you look at the league table, obviously we don't know how the games have gone today, because FC Isle of Man are the last team to play in that league, in the Premier League. But you know, the other ones, there's a lot of teams around them that have played less games, so that could alter. But then, you know, FC Isle of Man haven't got any night games or midweek games for quite a while, I think. They've got a good run of home games coming up towards the end of the season, which is good if the momentum's still there, that they're doing so well. But I think just all around, it's just gelled lately. When you look at it, this club has only been going for 4 years. They got promoted in the first year. They struggled a little bit, sort of, the other two, but here they are now, really challenging to see get promoted. And, you know, fair play to them. And the crowd is the big one for me. I think the crowd is, I'm being honest, has dropped off a little bit. They need the support because they need the money. They need the money to help them, because people don't really understand, Ben, that they have to pay for themselves to go to UK, and they have to pay for Burscough to come to the Isle of Man tonight and then house them in a hotel as well. That costs some money, so let's see if we can go down, give them a bit of support for a couple of hours, and then do what I do, get a Chinese and go home and watch Match of the Day. Job done.
Oh, there we go. So Tony's let us into his secret. It's a Chinese and then watch Match of the Day in the evening.
And fall asleep.
And then fall asleep. We haven't quite got team news yet from Rob, but looking, you were saying before you left the bowl, Burscough were just arriving.
Yep.
What was the atmosphere like with them arriving?
It was pretty good. You know, everything's getting ready because it's a quick turnaround. St Mary's finish, and then they've got to get all the banners up FC Isle of Man because they've got sponsors to cater for. A lot of people down there helping, which is good. The stewards, and there's all sorts to sort out. But they come down, obviously go on the pitch, and because it's 3G, it's not as if you're walking a pitch and going, oh, this one's a bit soft, the wings are a bit muddy. You know, it's true to form. There's no wind down there. It's a great surface to play on, and let's just hope we have an exciting game with lots of goals, but FC Isle of Man win.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I'm going to let you go because you've got to get to the NSC.
And get changed.
Yep, Tony's in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But Tony, as always, thank you very much for your expertise and analysis. And like we say, that message today for the Corinthians family, that really just show how true sport is on the island.
And that's how it should be, Ben. You're the same as me. You cover your sport with dignity and flair. And all I want to do is to make sure that, you know, the sport is played in the right way, just like you do. And I think today's a great day for sport. When you see something like that, and a club that's not even involved in it, go to the trouble to care for a family that, you know, are upset at the moment. I think that's class for football. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I'll let you get down to the bowl. FC Isle of Man against Burscough. That is on AM 1368 after classifieds here with Rob and Tony from the bowl. 6 o'clock kickoff.
Manx Radio Sport.
Okay, so we're now going to go to rugby, and we're going to join Dave Christian now, and he's going to give us all the lowdown for today's rugby. A very good evening, Dave Christian.
Yeah, good evening, Ben. It's not been an easy day for the two Isle of Man clubs in the English Club Championship. Defeats for both Douglas and Vagabonds. Douglas away from home, Regional 2 North West against Bowden. Douglas, lower mid-table is probably the best way to describe their position, but Bowden are up there at the very top challenging and will be aiming, I guess, for promotion come the end of the season. But today it was a game of two halves. They always are, but this one was very different for Douglas. In the first half, they shipped 50 points and scored 3. But in the second half, they've obviously had a spell under the half-time hairdryer, and performance recovered in the second half. They still lost the second half 17-12 statistically, which was a net defeat of 67 points to 15. I think struggling to get the travel out of the system in the first 40 was probably the difficulty for them. And when you've got a 47-point deficit at half-time, it's going to be very, very difficult to come back. They only had a Nathan Robson penalty to show for their first half efforts. In the second half, though, after the half-time hairdryer, Blake Everson pulled one back for Douglas, and I think that's his first Douglas try. Could be wrong there, but I think that's his first one. And Harry Cartwright added a second. Robson converted, but it just wasn't enough to pull back that big half-time deficit. So onwards and upwards for Douglas. They face Eccles at Portishead next Saturday. And we'll probably be there for Saturday Live to cover that one. But need to check the other fixtures first. But that's probably the aim for Saturday the 23rd. Up at Bella Fletcher, it wasn't much better for Vagabonds in Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire. They lost out 54 points to 10 to Burnley. We were there for that one, covering for Saturday Live. Chilly day up there, but it was Burnley who got off to the flying start. Tries early on from Joey Bramhall and Austin Ralph, and a conversion from Jimmy Redford gave them an early 12-0 lead. Regan Williams pulled one back for Vagabonds, but the respite was only brief, as Redford dotted down at the other end shortly afterwards. And he then converted his own try as well. Second row, Cam Crossdale crashed in under the posts on the half-hour mark to extend the lead. Regan Williams went in for his second for Vaggers just before half-time to pull one back. And then when the teams turned around, Vagabonds trailed 26 points to 10. At the start of the second half, things didn't get any better for them either. Burnley brought on replacement Roshane Hemmings, and he went in for 2 tries in the opening 10 minutes of the second half, and Redford converted both, and that made the lead 40 points to 10, and pretty much rendered the rest of the game as pointless, because the lead at that stage, 30 points, was much too big for Vagabonds to ever recover from. To be fair to them, though, they continued to battle. Matt Rockwell firing his troops up, and Joe Lowe had some big carries in the forwards. David Keenan on his Vagabonds debut, he was impressive in both halves with the ball in hand and defensively making the tackles. Vaggers got close to the Burnley line a few times in the second half, but it was only Burnley who troubled the scorers in the closing stages. Keegan De Vries went in for a try, and Jimmy Redford converted. And Redford also added a try of his own, which was converted by Joey Bramhall. So pretty consummate performance from Burnley. They'll remain up there at the top end of the league and hoping to go on to bigger and better things. Nice group of fans. They were all there for the crack in the afternoon. I think they're staying overnight as well. And a large group of supporters were entertaining themselves in Lower Douglas before the game. I'm not sure where they were. One bar or another, but nice bunch of guys, and hopefully they'll have a great time up there, and congratulations to them for a good performance this afternoon.
Yeah, plenty of bars around Douglas, isn't there, Dave? So not a good day for our local teams though, but like you say, some positives definitely to take from both sides.
Yeah, for sure, Ben. It's difficult when you're coming away with 2 large defeats like that. We know that Vagabonds have got some players missing. Daniel Bonwick in particular. Mitch Wells wasn't there. They've got players playing out of position. Matty Williams covering in the 10 jersey. And it's a similar story for Douglas. Simon Hodgenot not available. Liam Kirkpatrick not available. So when you're missing some of your bigger players, it's very difficult to try and adjust. And they've done the best they could today. Vagabonds, I think, next week are away at Old Bedians. Now, Old Bedians are the only team below them in the Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire standings. And if that's going to be their most realistic prospect to get the monkey off their back because they haven't won yet this season. It'd be a great time to do it next Saturday at Old Beddians.
Dave, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you again next week.
Sport.
Okay, so we have team news, and we're going to go down to the bowl, and we're going to join Rob Pritchard. Rob, a very good evening.
Very good evening, Ben. Yes, welcome for the first time this evening to the Bowl Stadium in Douglas ahead of this NWCFL Premier Division clash between FC Isle of Man and Burscough. Kick-off in just under 23 minutes' time. We do have team news. We'll start with the home side, FC Isle of Man. In goal is Adam Killier, and then it's Callum Sherry, Jacob Crook, Ryan Burns, Alex Maitland, Kyle Watson, the captain Steve Whitley, Sam Baines, Charlie Higgins, Luke Booth and Dean Pennington. 5 substitutes for Paul Jones' side, and they are Danny Gerrard, Jack McVeigh, Ronan McDonnell, Adam Adabai and Dan Hattersley. And for the visitors, David Dempsey's Burscough side, in goal is Ben Barnes, and then it's Matthew Coughlin, Mason Duff, Daniel Forbes, the captain James McCulloch, Cian Bell, Rio Merrifield, James Barrigan, John McGrath, Stephen Rigby and Che Trapasso Tully. Just the 3 substitutes for Burscough. They are Sebastian Bailey, Liam Bowyer and Charlie Ball. Your referee this evening is Carn Hayes, and his assistants are Liam Thomas and James Cherry. Well, if you are an avid neutral spectator when it comes to the NWCFL Premier Division, this might be a game to keep an eye on because it certainly hasn't been short of goals, this particular fixture, over the last couple of seasons. Both home and away between these two sides over the last 4 meetings, 27 goals have been scored, that resulting in 3 victories for FC Isle of Man and the 1 for Burscough. That 1 win for Burscough between the sides did come here at the Bowl 2 seasons ago. 2 late strikes from Edward Servett and an Alexander McMillan penalty deep into second half stoppage time saw them snatch a stunning 4-3 victory here on Manx Shores. Lord only knows David Dempsey would love to have that this time around. In the grander scheme of things, in terms of the table, FC Isle of Man came into this weekend as the team in form in the NWCFL Premier Division, the best form of any side over the last 6 matches, and on a run of 5 straight victories. If they were to get maximum points here tonight, they would match a tally only managed twice before in getting 6 consecutive victories on the board. What's more, if the allure of maximum points wasn't enough, if we look at some of the other results that have gone the way in the division today, defeats for West Didsbury and Chorlton and AFC Liverpool mean that if FC Isle of Man were to take all 3 points this evening, they could find themselves 5 points clear of FC St Helens in 6th below them, further cementing, at least for the time being, FC Isle of Man's place in the promotion playoff spots. For Burscough, some way further down in the table in 18th, but don't let that fool you. We've already mentioned their scoring record against FC Isle of Man. They are comfortably clear of the bottom 2 places, so well clear of any relegation fight as it stands. They've got every incentive to try and turn around their recent form that has seen them pick up just 1 point from a possible 21 in the last 7. Will we see an open, end-to-end, drama-filled game like we have on the last few meetings between these sides, or can either take control to potentially take the points either here on Manx Shores or taking them back to Lancashire? FC Isle of Man versus Burscough, kick-off at 6 p.m. Myself and Tony Mepham bringing you full live match commentary from then on Manx Radio DAB and AM 1368. But in the meantime, Ben, back to you.
Rob, thank you very much, and the atmosphere sounds really good down there. So FC Isle of Man against Burscough, kick-off at 6 o'clock.
Manx Radio Sport.
And finally, we look at hockey. Now, this is going to be a bit interesting. How am I going to do this on my own? So, let's look at the Mixed Premier League, and we start with the 12:35 game between Backers B and Vikings B, which finished 4-1 to Vikings B. Kyle Gundogan, Josh Dougal, Morven Smith, and Danny Murphy for Vikings B, and then Sophie Hudson with a consolation for Backers B. In the other 12:35 game, a big game at Peel, which we covered for Saturday Live, Harlequins A against Valkyries B. Will Hassel, Alfie Swales and Cameron Room with a double, giving Harlequins A a 4-1 win over Valkyries A. Hannah Ashton getting a consolation for Valkyries. Unfortunately, though, it isn't enough. Valkyries B have been relegated after the result that came in from Vikings B against Backers B, who are 2 points ahead of them. At the top of the league, we look at Vikings A against Castown Celts, a 3-0 win for Vikings A. Alex Andrews, Tom Burrows and John Cooper, all on the score sheet for Vikings A, which put the pressure on Backers A. They knew they had to go out there to get the win, and they have done today against Valkyries A. They've won 5-0, Callum Robb with 3, Elliot Reid with 1, and Sam Hassel with 1, which means that the Mixed Premier League comes down to next weekend's big final weekend, which will be a showdown, and Backers A play Vikings A. So a big game, which we will hopefully be covering on Manx Radio Saturday Live next week. In Mixed Division 1, we have got champions, and they are Castletown Southerners. They have won the league following Vikings C beating Backers C by 5-3. Faye Williams, Josh Dougal with a hat-trick, and Josh Knight for Vikings C. And then Craig Leese with 2 goals, and Will Wiseman with a goal for Backers C. It wasn't enough, though, because Castletown Southerners went to beat Vikings D by 9-1. Lucy Allen with 2, Ned McGregor with 5, Ashley Lynch with 1, and Andrew Winstanley with 1, with a consolation for Ian Perry for Vikings D, which has give Southerners the victory they needed over their rivals to give them the title. Unfortunately, though, it does mean Vikings D have been relegated from this division following that result, and Vikings C winning today. In the other fixture, though, Valkyries D against Ramsey A, that went to the Valkyries C. They won by 2-1. Russ Miller with 1 and Chris Thomas with 1, with Jan Butler getting the goal for Ramsey A. In Mixed Division 2, we had plenty of goals in this division. In the 11:05 game between Backers Colts and Castletown Camags, Tim Lehman, Ollie Christian and George Leese, all with goals each, wasn't enough to keep Castletown Camags 5 goals out. They won 5-3 over Backers Colts. Ozen Dunn, Eden McCubbin, Alistair Ledgers, Robbie Volga and Vern Bagazzi, all with goals each for Castletown Camags. In the 12:35 game, it was a big one. At the bottom, Valkyries D against Ramsey Ravens. Ramsey knew they had to get a win or a point from this game, and they've gone and got the win, which means Valkyries D are relegated. Valkyries D goal scorers was Ellen Barker and Mark Perryman, and Ramsey Ravens goal scorers was Chris Wells with 2 and Hannah Wild with 1. In the late pushback against Castletown Cushags against Harlequins B, that went the way of Harlequins B. They remain unbeaten in this division going into the final game of the season. And they were goals for Tom Hurd with 5, Callum Crellin with 2, and Emin Worsford with 1, with Paul Kelly getting the consolation for Cushags, meaning that Harlequins march on. That is now a 9th straight win. Can they make it the 10 next weekend? We will see when they play next week. In Mixed Division 3, we have Backers D 4, Vikings E 3. What a game this sounded. Half-time, it was 4-2 to Backers D. Christian Davis with 2, Jazz Slight and Dan Stevenson for Backers D. And then for Vikings E, it was Sam Spooner with 2 and Adam Braidwood with a goal. That gave Castletown Cosney the chance to take the title, and they haven't, because they've lost by 3-2 against Harlequin C. For Castletown Cosney, it was Sophie Fivian and it was Dulce Fern. And then for Harlequin C, it was Darcy Kelly, Faith Tier and Sean Dowan. And word of a note for this game, Harlequin C came back from 2-1 down in the final 2 minutes to take the victory over Castletown Cosney. And then in our final game of this league, we had Backers Mixed Books 1, Castletown Carrick 3, Ashton Flick, Charlie Valerga and Steve Savage, and for Castletown Carrick. And then for Backers Mixed Books, it was Ashley Sanford Sykes. And I'm pleased to say I've had a lovely report from the umpire, Lawrence Watterson. He claims he's retired. You haven't retired, Lawrence. You have not retired. Both squads showing casing of young and up-and-coming talent in their respective club. The game was a great advertisement and a pleasure to umpires. Bucks, unfortunately, were 1 player short the whole game, though players, the flow and the experts from Backers' side in Carrick managed to get a really useful counter-attack. Using the players' advantage, to their favours. The scoreline doesn't reflect on how passionate that backers mixed books were throughout the game. A massive congratulations to Castletown, and yeah, absolutely lovely report there from the umpire there, Lawrence Watterson. So thank you for that. We look into the mixed under-15s league, and it was Castletown Sharks 0, Valkyries 2, Ramsey 2, Harlequins 1, and then Castletown Sabres against Backers. That was Backers 5, Castletown Sabres 1. That concludes our results in the hockey today, but the action doesn't stop there. Tomorrow, the under-18 girls face Chorley at the NSC, and they are playing at 12:30. If you can get down to support, by all means, please do get down and support. It will be a fantastic showcase of just how good our young and up-and-coming Manx hockey players are, and it will be great to have such a great atmosphere, because it's the first game in a good number of years that the Isle of Man has been able to host the team from across. Normally, the island teams will travel across. That's not the case this time. The team, Chorley, have said they will come over and play on Manx soil. So it's great that we're able to provide such a fantastic facility and a fantastic opportunity for our girls to do it on home soil. So we wish them all the best of luck. And going into our final weekend, like we say, some massive games in the mixed leagues next weekend, and we'll look at them again next weekend. Also, the cup, plate and bowl draws for the final, that has been done, and that is the plate will be at 11, the cup will be at 1 o'clock, and the bowl game will be played at 3 o'clock. And those games will be played on the 30th of November at the National Sports Centre. So that's just about time for us to hand down to the bowl. But first, we'll have a look at a few of our headlines making the news in Manx foot sport this weekend. Our football headlines: Ayr, Peel, Corinthians and Laxey all progress into the Railway Cup semi-final. Goals galore in all divisions. Lots of goals flying in everywhere this weekend. A full recap of all the results will be on Manx Radio Sports website. In rugby, it wasn't a good day for our local teams. Douglas losing away and Vagabonds losing at home. We do hope that they'll have better luck next week, and like we say, full reports on Manx Radio Sport following the conclusion of this programme. In hockey, the Premier League goes down to the showdown next weekend when Backers A will play Vikings A. Sadly though for Valkyries B, it is relegation. In Division 1, congratulations Castletown Southerners, they are the champions. Commiserations to Vikings D, unfortunately it is relegation for them. In Division 2, Harlequins B continue their unbeaten run. Can they make it a clean sweep next weekend? For Valkyries D though, it's relegation. And finally, in Mixed Division 3, it goes down to a final showdown between Castletown Cosney, Vikings E, and following today's results, Backers Mixed E could win it as well. That concludes today's Manx Radio Classifieds and Full-Time show. Thank you very much for your company, your input and your analysis.